cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they pound, raising the sound, o'er the dance of their town. Gaily they ring while people sing songs of the cheers.
The Killing of a Sacred Deer has become one of my most favorite movies ever. And although a lot of people find it to be dumb, annoying, or meaningless, I want to dive into the depths of this movie and explain what it meant to me and why it is so genius in my opinion. Spoiler warning for the entire video. Also, sorry for any pronunciation problems or grammatical issues. I'm from Germany and I'm trying to do this review in English. I hope you can follow it through. If there's anything unclear, please let me know down below. I'll try my best. Thank you. First of all, in this first part of this analysis, I want to give you a brief summary of my general thoughts about this movie and then analyze all of it in detail in the videos to come. Of course, this is just my opinion and I don't have an answer for everything. Feel free to leave your thoughts down below in the comments. In my opinion, this film is a representation of depression, guilt, and the resulting alcoholism of a man and the effects it can have on one's family, with the symbolism of it being a god punishing you. Martin is simply Stephen's depression, and everything that happens to his family is not to be seen literally. This is tied with Greek mythology, and him executing one of his children is a way to show the brutal way getting out of a depression, which not always work, because at the end of the film the depression or God still watches the family, while Herr unser Herrscher, God or Lord, by Johann Sebastian Bach is played and the family leaves, still trying to escape the horror of alcoholism and depression. So the film starts out with a black screen and a choir singing Jesus Christus schwebt am Kreuze, which translates to Jesus Christ is floating on the cross. This song already states the important theme of the movie, which is religion and gods. The title of the film refers to an ancient Greek story about gods called Iphigenie, which is about a father who kills a sacred deer and is punished by another man, forcing him to sacrifice his daughter. We see a heart operation performed by our main character Stephen. He is a doctor, and the imagery of a heart in the beginning could symbolize how doctors hold lives in their hands and try to play God in a sense. We get a detailed shot of his bloody latex gloves being thrown in the trash can. This symbolizes how he's putting off the guilt of himself if he didn't manage to properly heal or rescue a patient, which is how we will later learn a very important plot point. Now we cut to the first dialogue of the film, in which he discusses seemingly irrelevant topics with his colleague. They talk about the water resistance of their watches, and Stephen asks where he got his watch from. I think this is meant to point out that the loss of a patient doesn't really bother Stephen, and he is more concerned finding a new watch, which is, as we will learn soon, a present for her boy he kind of feels guilty for. Stephen meets with said boy, named Martin, and has lunchtime with him. He asks him questions like a father would do, like he's sort of a replacement for a missing one. At a parking lot near a bridge, Stephen gives him the before-mentioned watch, which is some sort of present to make Stephen himself feel better, because, as we will learn later, he's responsible for the death of Martin's father, who was one of his patients. Martin seems to be disturbed, weird, and very clingy, which becomes more present as the movie goes on. I think it is important to mention the cinematography in the first scene with these two characters. The close-ups of their faces are framed with them looking out of the frame, creating distance from each other. After all, this is very fitting considering their weird relationship, and having in mind Stephen maybe only meeting with him to make himself feel better and not really liking him as a friend. And also at lunch, Martin told Stephen that he always saves fries for last because it's his favorite part of the meal, which will tie in at the end of the movie. We cut to the next scene, in which we get to know Stephen's family at dinner, which consists of a wife and two kids, a girl and her younger brother. Stephen seems very distant to his family, not really caring about topics being discussed, but being kind of angry about his son not going to the barber and shaving his hair short. Stephen and his wife then proceed to have some kind of fetish sex in their bedroom, where she pretends to be an asleep patient. This could address some sort of trauma in him being guilty of people dying. Next day, Martin surprises Stephen at work, which starts to show Martin's obsession with Stephen, as he told him many times before that he shouldn't come to the hospital. He also lies about who he is to his colleague, probably to hide the fact that it was the father of Martin for whose death he is responsible for. After this conversation, they meet up after work, and Steven invites him to dinner at his home to probably satisfy him so that he doesn't show up at his workplace at random times. So this was the first part of this analysis. I hope you enjoyed it. This is some kind of test video. I think that's how you can put it, because I want to see if there's any interest in this kind of series, and maybe you can put a comment down below and tell me if I'm making this interesting enough, or what can I do better, what can I improve on. So yeah, please tell me, and yeah, I hope the second part will come online soon, and yeah, have a nice day. See ya.